Wow! Our episode 8 takes us to the Azores for a fascinating conversation with Ida and the adventure of the spirit. A conversation about what it means to keep becoming. So many second halves in one remarkable life. Dutch team chess champion at the age of 12, theater, photography and filmmaking, philosophy and high tech, a break in Mongolia to ride horses across the open steppe, and eventually the Azores. From there, Ida is now exploring one of the biggest questions of our time through her PhD on human critical thinking and creativity and the rise of the Artificial Superintelligence God. What does it mean to be human in the age of AI? And how do we continue to think critically, creatively, and deeply in a world increasingly shaped by intelligent machines? What struck me most, however, was not Ida's impressive journey or her remarkable intellect. It was her curiosity, her openness to life, and her willingness to keep choosing adventure over certainty. I have rarely met someone so intellectually curious and so passionate about life. I have a feeling you too will fall in love with Ida during this conversation. Enjoy episode 8 of the summer series. 9 Saturdays, 9 stories, 9 wonderful people. Viva Vida! Hello, Ida. How are you doing?
Bon dia, good day. I'm fine, thank you very much.
Bom dia. So here I am in Skåne, Sweden, and you are in Azores.
Yes.
So middle of the ocean.
Yes.
Right? Part of Portugal. Beautiful place, as I'm seeing since we have been talking a little bit more these latest months. I've been looking at pictures, and it's like the dinosaur islands. You almost feel like you can meet a dinosaur anytime. So
yes.
Beautiful, right?
Yes, it seems like if I look over the ocean and then you have this black rocks and it's sort of a forgotten place. Of course, it's not forgotten, but I'm sort of as if it's like dropped and it can be forgotten and then still it lives on. It's a very special place. Yes.
Yes, and I mean, Azores, as I know, is not the only place. You lived in so many different places, including Mongolia. So we're going to hear all about these exciting experiences. And as you know, as part of the Playing the Second Half in this summer series, we have a theme, and you chose something very beautiful, which is the adventure of the spirit. Amazing. And I'm trying to guess here because, I mean, I'm learning so many things. I mean, we know each other on and off for some years, but having more current chats for the last 3-4 months. And every time we talk, I see new things that I learned from you, Mongolia, and then this that you can swim for a full hour in the ocean. I mean, because I asked you, you said that you were swimming and it was cold. And I said, how many degrees? 21. And 21 is very good here in Sweden for when you go like I do, you go in and out. And then I understood it's because you swim for a full hour. So this is going to be so exciting because of all your experiences in life and these adventures you have been into. And we want to understand what does the adventure of the spirit really means. And as I ask to all guests is, let's start from the very beginning, wherever you want to start. You know, the very little Ida, if you want, a baby, or a little bit later, but the little Ida. And then take from there and then go all through the amazing stuff you are doing there of AI. Let's get started. How was little Ida? And try to uncover the adventure of the spirit.
Yes. I may need some guidance because sometimes my head gets a bit like a forest, so it just can go all sides. So it needs some kind of guidance that the conversation goes to somewhere, and that's to all kinds of in all kinds of directions. Well, the adventure of the spirit is actually a phrase of Alfred North Whitehead, which I study in my doctoral research. I will not. I prefer not to go much into detail because it's very. He describes God as a God that exists in the world as well as a metaphysical God. And the adventure of the spirit is faith for him, and it's sort of If I have to explain this, I said I have to become very technical, which I do not want. But basically, it means that in every moment you have a decision to make, and this decision is based on the things that happen in reality, like in your daily life, in each moment. But also, there's something bigger that guides you, and this is this primordial God, and it's not as religious as you have in other in let's say in normal Christianity, but for me the adventure of the spirit, because it resonated very much with me, is more the yeses I feel in myself to do certain things. So it's sort of the guidance in my life. Of course I have plans, but then life is never predictable, and I move through life, and then things pop up, and then it feels good or it feels not good. And this is a very sometimes unconscious thing because people do not understand it well, and I have to think. And I can recall why I do certain things, but at the moment it's like yes, no, and it's this kind of way of moving through life. So I would say that this is for me this adventure of the spirit, this guidance I feel.
It's
It
beautiful.
sounds.
And I did some research about Whitehead, and I mean some of the things, and he talks, one thing, it's very much about this, how to say, being versus becoming, right? And also, I understood that safety, I mean, in his view, I mean, like I used to say, a crocodile that stands still becomes a bag, that things are changing all the time, and we need to change and experience new stuff. Is that correct way of?
Yes. Well, being he speaks of actual entities, and so these are, I would say, beings, but we're always in a state of becoming. So it's his philosophy is very similar, I would say, to, and he says this himself, to Taoism, and it's it's a permanent process. So also the experience of time, and of course we are, as human beings, we have our clock, yeah, the clock time, and we have also our experience of time. But it's more, it's how can it said to not become too theoretical. I think you have this Stephen King movie, the Langoliers. I don't know if you've watched it. It's already, I think, from the 70s or from the 80s. But there you have it's it's a series of two parts, and there you have this Langoliers. They appear all of a sudden, but the way how time is expressed there is that it's the moment that sort of is, and in that moment a new moment arises. So it's a sort of it's very hard to explain with our linear way of thinking, because it's not so much linear. It is, but at the same time it's, you have the moment that is all there is, and that is at the same time the birth of a new moment. So it's maybe you heard that also, like in spiritual work, and it's, again, it's very difficult to speak about this because it's not how we used to describe time. In my PhD, I compare it actually only in my concluding thoughts with quantum theory, and I cannot say, and I don't want to say anything in depth about that because I cannot. I lack the knowledge. But it's a sort of this kind of, there's a reality, and our experience is a sort of subjective. It always it's a subjective way of experiencing this reality. So there's something that is bigger than we are, but we are making part of it, and we are it at the same time. But this subjective experience makes what we experience as time, or what we experience as being, and also in this being we become, because we make a decision in the moment we are.
Yeah, I can understand. And we're going to come back to that. Time for me is something so important, and we're going to come back to exactly that point. So the adventure of the spirit, and why don't start with little Ida? Among other things, I understand that you have been the champion in Holland, where you were born, right? In chess. Or where do you want to start? You were born in Holland, right?
Yes. I'm Dutch Polish, and I like to mention it because now living here in the Azores, I used to say in Portuguese, my minha mente Hollandaise. My mind is Dutch, because I have this very maybe chess way of thinking, and my corazón is Polaca, so it's my heart is Polish. I feel if there's a country I should die for, I would want to die for. I don't want to, but it's like would be Polish. I would fight for Poland.
And it's your mother that's Polish, right?
Yes, my mother is from Krakow. Yes, yeah. And minha alma. I use Açoriano, but I want to go to Michaelense. So it's like it's the island. It's not even Azorean. It's like my soul is this island. So yes, this is sort of how I resonate.
Were you the only child, or did you have brothers and sisters?
I have one brother. He's younger than me. He's 4 years younger. And I have my parents divorced when I was 8, and my father remarried, and I have a stepbrother and a stepsister. So, yes.
And tell me, how are you very young and at school? Were you shy girl, or were you extrovert? Doing good at school? You must have been very good in school, I guess.
No, only if I put my mind on things. So it's this thing of, I see this with more. This is not to make myself bigger than I am, but it seems that the people who have original thought, they're not always good in school because they have their own ideas of how things should be. So no, I was not. No, I was okay. Like I always made this rational calculation. How much time should I invest in something to go to the next class? So I have been always very rational in school for doing like what is important to me. But no, my last name is Rust. In Dutch, it means quiet, like you have rest in peace. So it's in Dutch is rust in vrede, so to be quiet. And I was not, so I always had like in this final report, like Ida, in Dutch I said Ida should become more quiet. Ida moet rustiger worden. So actually I was very dominant, very bossy, and very apparent, and always was put isolated because I was just influencing other children too much. But on the other hand, I am quite, I would say, introvert. So I have my own thoughts, own ideas. But if I have an opinion or if I find something, I have no problems of expressing that, and was not always, or was actually often not appreciated in a school setting. Yes.
Start with chess.
Well, after the divorce, I live with my mother and my brother, and so this is second primary school. So I was 8, and one of the teachers at this school, he was a chess teacher. He's still a chess teacher, and he's still training champions, like for like the highest level. And my father, he taught us chess, so I just started his chess classes, and I did well. And yes, but it was difficult because, let's say, I was from my 9 till my 12 I was training, but it was like you have end school, and you have every free minute I had to practice, and every weekend and I had tournaments. So it's sort of this and he has a bit of this Russian way of maybe he doesn't like to hear it, but it's very strict way of training. So there's not much play, but only training.
You enjoyed playing, or?
Yes, but the thing, it's yes, I enjoyed it, but chess, it's sometimes I joke with my brother. It's like this is how it's. Sorry for the word. So maybe screws up your brain a bit because it makes you think very like I cannot describe. It's also in your interaction with people because and this is maybe also the environment I was in, but it's always like to try to understand what does the other want, what are the next steps. So you have different scienarios and you sort of calculate everything to get the best outcome. So it's sort of very tiresome, and I don't regret anything I did. So, but it's after the Dutch Championship, I just stopped playing chess for many years because it was just
Because when you were so young, you become the champion of, the chess champion. You didn't think of continue. You stopped then.
Yes. My mother lately spoke with my teacher and said, "Oh, it's such a pity because she was talented or she's talented," but I was completely done with because it's very demanding, of course, chess. And then if you're, yes, I felt like this is.
But maybe,
I went. Sorry.
maybe it was just being there, done that.
Yes, maybe, but I started chess playing again when I was 18. But because to play chess you have to train a lot.
Yeah.
It's like you can be talented a bit, and maybe I am, but a bit. I'm not, but you have to train, you have to practice. There are now certain documentaries on Netflix, and I was watching them, and it's that, and even like the level they're training, it's even much more. But still, as a child, at every 3 minutes, every weekend, you have to pray, and it does something with your brain.
From chess, then I understand you had many other interests, right? Like theater, philosophy. So tell us what became next in terms of interest alongside school, of course, and what you discover. What is the next adventure of the spirit, if you say so?
They're always parallel because I was doing also theater at that time. Like, okay, this was primary school and then a secondary school too, and I was always thinking of going to theater school when I would finish my high school. So theater was always there, and I was singing a lot. So it was always the arts, and then this and then chess. So this kind of mathematical or analytical way, abstract way of thinking, and this has been maybe also a struggle inside myself on how to deal with it, and also with other people because they don't understand this. Because people like to put, or we all like to put things in boxes, and it's sometimes hard for people to put me in a box, and then they just don't understand me, or they fill in what I'm thinking or why I'm doing things, and that made it very difficult. So it's sometimes hard to deal with yourself. The same with my parents. Like actually, it's like my father. He's an engineer. So I come from an engineering family. And then the side from my mother is more artistic. So also there, this sort of I've been kind of this hybrid.
Because I mean, you have then always had this combination, right, with
Yes.
technology and humanity, and so it started then in early age.
Yes. Well, it's sort of the arts, and mainly music. It was music and photography because I was already, when I was, I think, 10, I got my first camera. It was a Practica, and then I got from my father a Pentax, which was everything like mechanically. So I was making a lot of pictures, so doing singing, doing theater, and then chess. So it's always somehow this finding this kind of expression of me, and at the same time having this very strict boundaries and you have an objective that is to win and how to accomplish it. So if I look back at my path, my adventure of the spirit, and also my specialization now, which is human AI interaction, I feel I am both. So this is why I can understand AI very well, because this is how I've been thinking and living for a long time. But the last years, I've been focusing on becoming, to say, more human. That is not, but to express that part more, and also to liberate that part in myself more.
Yeah, very interesting. This explains for me this combination that I noticed on you with being deep into AI, but at the same time looking, which I think is very special, and we're going to come back to that, the human part and what is still going to be human in these new worlds, which is very fascinating, your whole doctoral thesis. So, but before you start with your PhD, then you did a career in different areas. You went to Japan, right? And tell us about that.
Yes, well, I would say if I have to, also for job interviews, it was always a bit, it's not difficult, but I have to always tell a long story, because I studied, after high school, I studied film and theater. So I'm a dramaturgist. I have a master in film dramaturgy. And I had this idea of, but then this is also, I do dramaturgy, which is the understanding, or the being a sort of the bridge between the script writer and the director. But then I had more a passion for cinematography, because there you need the technology to explain something, because you have, as a director, you have an image, but you need technology to transmit this image. And in order to do that, you have to understand the technology. So it's manipulating reality to get a certain image. And I love this. For me, it's always like, it's very much how technology is used. Like, you have an objective, and how do you use that to get the message across. And so I started to focus on cinematography, and I moved to Poland with my partner back then. And I started to work first as a volunteer at Panavision, because Panavision was very close. I lived in Warsaw, and was very close to our house. So I thought, okay, I just went there on my bike. I said, can I work for you? They said, okay, we have no work, and this is always how things. So maybe this is the adventure of the spirit. I sort of say, okay, then I just want to learn. Just so say, okay, here you have some filters, clean them. Here you have some lenses, clean them. So I will learn. And this is like, I just have this idea, and then I just dive into it, and I just want that. So I'm like, it's okay. I went there because at that time I had to finish my bachelor thesis for philosophy. So then I woke up at 4 o'clock or 4:30, just working 2-3 hours on that, then going by bike to Panavision to work for some hours on the cameras. Then I went. Then after some time, I got a job as a business developer, which was also sort of coincidence and adventure of the spirit. But going back to Panavision, they started to pay me, because she's there every day she comes, she's doing work, we have to pay her. So they started to pay me something. And I thought, this is good, because this is for me an entrance to go to the film set, the movie set. I learned the equipment, I learned to know people. This was my idea. Then I got, there was a Dutch community, or there is a Dutch community in Poland. And yes.
So you woke up at 4:30 in the morning.
Yes, or earlier.
Went to work. I mean, first you knock on the door, get a, yes, help us. Then you start working, and then you have all these things during one day. That's amazing.
Yes, I think this is also the chessboard. I can just make, for me, it's very difficult to understand that it's difficult for people not to make a plan and to not execute plan, because this is sort of how it's like, there's like a vision, then I make a plan, and then it's execute plan. And it's really like that. There's no discussion. So if I have this idea of study in the morning, film then work, and in the evening I was doing editing of film material. So fortunately, I didn't need much sleep. So I was sleeping 4 hours, and I just have this, and I stick to it, like this plan. So yes.
It must be then an engine you have on yourself, this passion for life and for the things you love. I mean,
I don't know.
I'm
I feel just the
really,
yes. Sorry.
I'm really just very. I have such an admiration the more I hear, because it's. I think we need more of this in the world, this type of passion and purpose, and then in the 4D community that we are also part of, then I see that I have thought of you very much as a dreamer, but I'm seeing more and more that you are actually a doer also, very much. Nice.
Yes.
So from Panavision, then, how long did you stay there?
I think I worked there for 2 or 3 years. But so that was my way of working. And for this Dutch, I was then part of the Dutch community. But then about myself, I'm somehow, if I'm in a big group, I like to be with people, but at the same time I have difficulty sometimes to interact. It's maybe because I'm not very good in small talk. So I found a way of being there, which is filming and making photos, because people like that. So I thought I can be part. I'm doing something useful. So I was there. Then they asked me to do the administration of the organization. I said, that's okay. From there, then I remember I was at Panavision, and then I got a telephone call. I said, from a Dutch guy. He said, I need someone. I have a business development company. It's for Dutch companies who want to start a business in Poland, and I need someone. Do you want to work for me? I said, well, I don't speak Polish. Even though I'm Polish, I'm not raised in 2 languages. I was learning a bit, but not good enough. And my background is in film and theater. I said, yeah, it's not a problem. And I thought, okay, let's try. So this is again the adventure of the spirit. It's somehow I'm just like, why not? And if I feel that, because sometimes there's a assistant about what's, then I say no. But in this case was like, why not? So it's where I started. So then I had to implement this working. So I was, after 12, I went to first Panavision, and then went to this company. And actually, that went very well. Only there, it's because it was business development for the small companies, but then I ended up doing advisory for actually the Ministry of Economic Affairs because I'm very strategic. So I see things, and it's like more in the long term. So my boss said, okay, I put you on this kind of projects, and also some engineering projects. And this was then the bridge to me working for the Netherlands Organization for Applied Scientific Research, because I got a project on soil. What's it? If you have waste management, but also if you have soil that is contaminated. Yes, soil contamination. So I got this project, and I made a whole market research, and actually my advisory, and this is maybe goes against some consultancy, but I said there is now no market, but shale gas is upcoming, and you have to wait some years because you might have a market then. I actually was fired because of this report, because my bosses didn't understand my report, and I did not came up with an let's say a positive recommendation that there's business. Well, it's not there. I was fired, and at this also adventure of the spirit. I said, okay, this is the moment I have to go back to the Netherlands, because in the meantime I was not together with my partner anymore. I felt I want to go back to the Netherlands. I said, okay, this is the moment. So at the same time, so when I decided to go to the Netherlands, my boss came to me, said, we spoke with the client. They're very happy with your work. I said, okay, thank you. But I was already like, okay, this chapter is now closed. And then this is for me this is one of like my big question mark. How does this happen? Because in 1 month, in a time, because it's 2011, that there was people said there was not much work. It was everything very difficult. I arranged a very beautiful apartment in the center of The Hague. But I also was hired as a senior business developer for oil and gas for the TNO, the Netherlands Organization for Applied Scientific Research, for fluid dynamics. So people's like, how does this happen that you end up there? But this is the funny thing, because my brother, because if I like something, I can talk about it. So this whole soil contamination and shale gas, I was completely full of it. And then I start to talk about it and I read a lot about it. My brother was not listening, so or was listening, but not in the right way. So he thought I was doing something with shale gas. He spoke with a friend, actually a common friend, who said, or he said, my sister is coming back to the Netherlands, she's looking for work. He said, what, somehow it went like, what is she doing? And then my brother mentioned shale gas. Then they said, but my department is working on shale gas, so she has to talk with my boss. So I went there. I just also, because the guy has a very busy agenda and he had not much time. I said, okay, but I will be there. It's 7:30 in the morning. I went there to have this brief conversation, and somehow my back then manager boss, he said, yeah, this is going to work because you have such a passion for this thing. And this is maybe also the engineering part of me. I like the oil and gas industry. I'm not saying this from, like, of course, not saying this in respect to the environment, but it's sort of, you have these big machines and this is a very heavy industry. And if I get happy from something, like I get very happy by being here in nature. But if I see the big refineries in the Netherlands, you have, let's say, Perniers, like, and I just I can cry when I see this. It's, for me, it's like, this is so beautiful.
It's a way, it's beautiful because it's complexity, right? I mean, I'm thinking of telecoms, where I come from. What fascinates me is that the first day at my previous company, Ericsson, the person said, Raud, this is the most complex machine ever built. And then, at least for me, excites, and when I see you excited, you light when you say that, is because of this enormous machinery and complexity. Is that correct?
Yes, and also that we as human beings are able to build such a thing. So it's somehow, it's like, wow, we are able to do this. So it's really like the technology and what we're, as humankind, what we're accomplishing. And again, it's not, I'm not speaking about the impact. So I have my thoughts about that, but it's more that I just light up by seeing these big complex machines. And in the end, they hired me, like, because I did not even, of course, I prepared myself, but I've been completely honest in what my background is. But they hired me based on they assumed a steep learning curve and my enthusiasm.
That's fantastic. So once again, with the background, and then you're opening doors, right? And was it this company that took you later to Japan? Is that correct?
No, that was another. I worked for Yokogawa, and this was actually a client of me for when I worked in TNO, and I was in Yokogawa. I was doing market intelligence, which in the end, it somehow, I think it did not work out well, and I think it's because I'm someone I can. Again, I see things, and this sounds. I'm not meaning this in a very like psycho, well, how does it, like paranormal way, but I don't know, it's maybe visionary, or I don't know how I do it, but I sort of can connect in very things that are not obvious to other people. I connect them, and then I have this vision, which is then I can do these steps back to where we are now, and make some kind of strategy. So I was doing that, but at the same time, what I like about this was industrial process automation, and I like the Japanese way of working, because it resonated sort of with me. It's also sort of somehow, it's very strict, but then there is vision, and then you want to work towards perfection. And my boss for yes.
Japan.
No, I never worked in Japan. I went. No, it's a Japanese company, but in the end, he connected me to the R&D department in Tokyo, and I was doing some. I did not do R&D, but it's actually, I had a concept for human-machine interfaces, because in TNO I started with fluid dynamics and ended up with human factors and human system collaboration. And I took this knowledge actually to the other company. And even though I was focusing on market intelligence, somehow I was more on how can we optimize this interaction of humans with this complex machinery. And this is what I was doing with like discussing also with Japan.
What is the next chapter then in this?
Well, actually, the next chapter is Mongolia, because I was not feeling good anymore in this market intelligence role, and I was actually I became very depressed. And the thing I was doing, the only thing that gave me some kind of energy was horse riding, and I moved from dressage to Western. And in the meantime, I've been several times to the US to do Western riding, and just in the Rocky Mountains, and in like, I have to say, music is always is sort of the incentive for things I'm doing. So I've been traveling a lot through the US, and Highway 61, Revisited from Bob Dylan, has been like the reason why I drove from Chicago to New Orleans, or Devonport, New Orleans. Then you have this song Horse with No Name. So I was like, okay, I want to ride a horse with no name. Like, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. This is what I want. So I just...
Tell me a little bit, you're just feeling depressed. It was not anything more than you're not enjoying your work, or was anything else?
No,
or?
I just completely, the light went out. As you see, I have a lot of, I would say I see a lot of things, I can do a lot of things, and if I was just not seeing how to move in a direction that satisfies my soul. Dus maybe again here, the adventure of the spirit. If my spirit cannot breathe, it cannot live, it's sort of the light goes out.
Just so we understand, Western riding, what is exactly that?
Well, it's like how cowboys ride. So you're having less, it's really like normally you have a lot of, okay, this is how it's not my understanding, it's how I experience the difference. Because in dressage, like, you control your horse fully.
Yeah, yes.
In Western, you give a horse, it's more, I would say, more like a companion. So it thinks for itself, and you give the guidance. But you ride with the rein in one hand. You have it like in a loose rein, so there's not much pressure on the mouth. You just steer it a bit, so it's much more natural. And then you have natural horsemanship, where you even ride without the bit, and you give it even less. You have even less tools to control your horse, so it's much more on connecting with the horse and make it do what you want than controlling it by using tools.
So the light went off, so to say, with the market intelligence type of work that you're having.
Yes.
And you are more and more into horse riding, Western horse riding. And what is the connection with Mongolia? That's where you can...
I know, but well, the thing, I had to mention this, and it was not that I was done with that horse riding. This was the only thing where I felt alive, because I found a girl who was renting her horses. So we went to the beach. In the Netherlands, it's very hard to find a space where you can just run with your horse. So what we did was just we took the horses and just go to the beach and let the horse like run like crazy. And this gave me a feeling of getting back to myself again. At the same time, it was not that I did not want to work anymore in technology. It was that I wanted to do more with Japan and more doing this visionary kind of work and more like R&D than doing market research. So this is more what was more the problem. So the whole Mongolia, it's like, okay, I was thinking like, I need to change something drastically with my life. And then, because here also, like this adventure of the spirit, they just starts like, okay, horse riding is the only thing that gives me pleasure. And this is not very conscious, but it's like, okay, this is what I like. And then I start to look. So like, okay, maybe I should do some holiday with horse riding. And like, okay, I like remote spaces. Because also when I go to the US, I like just the desert, like the remote. So I thought, okay, Mongolia. And then I found a horse riding company. And I remember there was like a button, volunteer. So I thought, okay, I just click on that. And then they said, okay, I can do volunteer. And then I was thinking, I said, I can help you with your, I asked them, but what is this volunteering? And then I got a response back, like, you help with the horses and building some yurts, like these tents. And then you have to pay, I don't know, 400, like a little bit, and then you can stay with us. And I sent like, I wrote back like, okay, I'm a business developer, and I can maybe help you with your. No, I said I'm a business developer, and can we not do something else? And I actually want to stay for a longer time. I want to stay for a year. So he said, well, let's call. And the guy said, can you help me with my company? Then you get everything for free and you can stay as long as you want. I said, this is perfect. This is an exchange. Like, I can just go there. I get my own yurt. I get my horses. I help them. Okay, this started in November, and I was not telling anyone. But then I started to work on, I started to work on this because it was not concrete. But in the end, I just resigned from my apartment. I gave away 3/4 of all my stuff, put the rest in depot, in storage, and I booked the flight to Moscow to take the train to Ulaanbaatar, because I always had this idea of also to take the to go to take this Trans-Siberian Express. So I said, this is a good opportunity to finally take the Trans-Siberian Express, and let's take the Trans-Siberian Express to Mongolia, which is what I did. So this is how I ended up in Mongolia.
And how was it? Was then a lot of good horseback riding, and you start helping his company? How did it go?
Yeah, actually, it was terrible, and this is something people do not want to hear, because the like National Geographic, and they always show these nice pictures of Mongolia, but it was actually a terrible experience, and it had also to do with. And I speak about experience, so also to the people who listen, this is my experience, and there are very sure that there are people who have different experiences. But I think, my problem was, and I kept a diary. I was thinking of like some kind of Rousseauian idea I had about the nature of people. And because I went in the US, if you speak with the Native Americans, and I go to states like Utah and Colorado, people are more connected with nature. So I was expecting to engage with people who are very connected with nature, and this was just not the case. Like, they treat the horses like not even secondhand cars, but worse. They just pollute the environment. It's very harsh, and I cannot understand that. On the other hand, it's like only 3 months per year it's summer, and the rest it's freezing temperatures, and it's very harsh way of living. So the whole thing of me.
Was the food good?
No, it's terrible. There's nothing grows there. So there's sheep meat, and there are onions, there's potatoes, and there's some carrots, and everything you can buy is very, like, in respect to fruits, it's imported, and it's very expensive, and it's bad quality. So there's no fruits. There's only sheep meat, and
So
yeah.
maybe you realize quite fast that this break was not really a good break.
No, that's not. No, because I had this idea, and then I was also telling this my colleagues in my company, and there were a lot of Portuguese there. This is also how things go. It's adventure of the spirit. And I remember, like, because I went, like, Azores, Portugal was never in the picture. I never thought about it. It was non-existent. But I was always good with these Portuguese guys, and they say, Ida, you can go to North Portugal. We can give you a house. You will have like also nothing there. It will be very simple, but it's better. Please do that. I said, no, I'm going to Mongolia. I have a friend of Kazakhstan. She said, okay, Ida, what are you doing? Like, because she's from Kazakhstan, she said, it's not for you. I said, I'm going to do this. Because I'm also someone, I like luxury, and I like my comfort. I'm like, I'm going to do this, sleeping in the yurt, I'm doing this. And I have a document that actually said, move to Mongolia, because I just resigned. I got like I was not connected to the Netherlands at all, because my idea is I stay for 1 year in Mongolia, and from there I will see. Maybe I can go to Japan. So actually that was sort of the idea. So I went there, and I was like, okay, this is harsh. From day one, I'm already like, why am I doing this? I was like, this is harsh, but I can do this. And it got worse and worse and worse. And I'm like, but I can do this. And actually, the moment that I realized, it was after 2 months or something, I spoke because I had a friend, and she was traveling around the world, and she sometimes texted me, and then she called me, and I heard like this tropical birds in the background, and I said, Marion, her name is Marion, where are you? I said, I'm in the Galapagos. So like, and I was sitting because I got the Lyme disease. Also in Mongolia, there's a lot of ticks. So I got the Lyme disease. I was sitting in the apartment of the owner of this horse company in Ulaanbaatar, and it was May, no May, and it was still snowing and cold. I'm like, what am I doing here? And this is what I'm thinking. What am I doing here? Well, I'm just hearing this tropical birds, which is what I want. And then she said to me, Ida, to whom are you proving yourself? And this she cannot remember this because I told her many times, and this sort of resonated. Like, yeah, it's sort of like I have this. This is again like I make a plan, I execute plan, objective reach, check, and it's sort of it's not a failure towards other people because I take responsibility, but it's a sort of a failure towards myself, towards like not accomplishing this adventure of the spirit. But things got worse and worse and worse, and so somehow then it's maybe your own disposition, or life starts to change in a certain way that it starts to emphasize that you should change things. And then things got so bad because the wife of the owner started to accuse me of things, and then I was not sleeping for days, and like, okay, from one day to the other, I just booked a plane, not via Moscow but via Istanbul, to go back. Then it got even, so you think, okay, this is the end, but I was at the airport, and there it was I had a terrible experience there. So it was not over yet, the nightmare, the Mongolian nightmare, because I was standing there like ready to leave, and then I showed my passport, and then the woman, like, they're very like sad faces, she looked at me, and she just got another guy looking at me. I said, there's missing a stamp. And because I'm Polish, and in this country, this kind of countries, missing stamps is a very bad thing. So I was like, okay. I said, there's missing a stamp. You're not legally here. And it's like, okay, in this kind of countries, you don't make any, don't ask questions. And it can be a very serious thing because if they want, they can put you in jail. I know how this works. So I'm like, so I remember I just bowed my head. I said yes, and it was not my mistake because the owner, he should have, after 3 months they should get register me officially or something, and it didn't happen. And we tried to call the guy, but he was in the middle of the somewhere, so he could not like in the land, so there was no connection. So I could not call him for him to explain to this douaniers, like the border control, why I missed the stamp. So I was like, okay. So I just remember, I just completely surrendered. I said, yes, you're right. Tell me what I have to pay. Because so I said, so yes, and that worked. So I thought, okay, whatever, I have to pay. And in the end, they just took me to the ATM, and I had to pay 200. In the end, it was like $200 or something. So it was not that bad. I'm like, okay, I pay. And I just put the stamps, and really only at the moment that the plane just took off, I just relaxed, relaxed. It's like, finally, this nightmare is over. But yeah, so
I can understand that. I must say, I can understand the feeling. I think this is just one of the many second halves, and it just Mongolia should be a film, a movie. I mean, and then there, listening to your friend and the birds in Galapagos, and feeling now it's time to leave. I think it would be a wonderful film. Is it after that you come to Azores? Tell us about that, and then your PhD, because I think that's when it started also, right?
Yes. Well, I'm also things, and this is all only in retrospect. The thing I was missing most in Mongolia, was pineapples and fresh orange juice. I remember, because I could not find it there, and it's like I miss so much the pineapples and the fresh orange juice. But okay, that was I just wanted to drop this. Then I went back to the Netherlands. But the thing is, I had no apartment. I had an world insurance, so I could not stay longer than 1 month in the Netherlands. And the idea was that I just dropped off some winter clothes, and then I would go back to Asia again, to just Indonesia or Thailand, something that would be more just to have a holiday. And I was staying at the place of my father, and I was looking at things, and it was all, and I thought, because I had this Lyme infection, I thought I don't want to have any other, like malaria, all this kind of things. I just want comfort. And yeah, and I was looking for islands because I have something with islands. I've been to the Seychelles, and it was somehow, it's like I love tropical islands. And then I remember that my ex, he went many years ago to the Azores, and he told me that there are that's because he told me that there are black beaches, and this is something, the only thing I remember from what he's told me, what he said about the Azores. And I remember that I thought, "Ooh, black beaches! Like you have Hawaii, but then all black. It sounds it sounds dark. It sounds nice." And I just thought, okay, let's check. And I cannot recall what I did, because I did not look at the island. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't check anything. The only thing I did was, okay, I checked the price of the ticket, and I went to Airbnb. And I never used Airbnb. So I was looking, and actually I clicked on a guy I like his face. So I was like, oh, these guys look nice. And I sent him a message like, I want to stay for 1 month in the Azores, or is that possible? And then he said, try to reach me outside Airbnb. And I'm like, I like this mentality. It's just me. Like, so I sort of, a guy who is then not connected anymore to Airbnb, I just connected with him via, I don't know, WhatsApp. He said, if you pay me, I don't know, 500 euros, I will arrange. I said, that's good. I don't understand how I think at this moment. It's sort of, like somehow also, it's something says yes. It's, of course, because this sounds very impulsive and very not thoughtful, but there's something that felt like he is trustworthy. So I just paid, maybe it was less than 500, but I just paid an amount, and I just booked my ticket, a one-way ticket to San Miguel. And I thought, okay, worst case scenario is that there's no guy there, and well, then we see. But he was there, he was picking me up, and he got me actually a nice apartment in Ribeira Grande. It's on the north side of the island. And so I arrived in a place I did not do any research about. And I remember, because I did not hire a car, but so I used public transportation. I remember the next day I was taking the bus from Ribeira Grande to Ponta Delgada. It's the sort of capital of the island. And people were in the bus, and they were looking at me and said, you will live here. They were saying this to me. It's maybe how I looked or what, because I was so done with the Mongolia. I was just like enjoying every single moment of being like in a place where it's warm, and where it feels also just more warm in respect to emotions. And that's what they were saying. And from the very first moment, I felt home there.
So you bought this ticket 1 month, and you stay there until today?
No, I stayed there for 1 month. Then I got and it's not an offer. A friend, she was working for the Technical University of Delft, and she was asking if I could take over her job, also as a business developer for science and technology. And I said, that would be perfect, because I had no idea of living in the Azores. I just felt that I felt good there. So I went back to the Netherlands. But I also remember when I flew back, you had this, you always look to the other seat in front of you. And there was like this sort of, not commercial, but a text like, invest in Azores. And I was like, okay, I will do that. If I have money, I will come back. I will invest in the Azores. And I took stones from the Azores. And I heard now that if you take stones from a place, they always have to come back, these stones. But I didn't know. But I took these stones because I felt this energy of these stones. So I went to the Netherlands, and then things did not work out in the Netherlands. I was there in the end for 3 months in the Netherlands, and things didn't work out. And I was actually sleeping with these stones, like really, they were just positioned near my bed. And I was thinking, and then I found out that you can take your unemployment payment for 3 months to another EU country. So I thought, you know what? I go back. It's like, it's not sort of paid holidays, but I will see if this love is mutual, because I kept on thinking about the Azores. And I was thinking, if I will live there, I need an intellectual challenge. the idea of a PhD was already there for many, many years. It's actually why I started philosophy in 2006 with the idea of one day to start the PhD. So I thought, if I can do a PhD there, then I will find a way to make it work. So in the Netherlands, I found a professor because I compare artificial superintelligence with God, and this was in 2016. So it was AI. It was not a big thing yet for the common public, and it was very difficult for me to find a professor who understood my idea or partly and said, okay, I want to supervise your work. But I found him. I went back to the Azores, and yes, that's how I'm.
This is fantastic. So you see the possibility then to have this intellectual stimulus in the place you loved with your stones, the 3 months that you have by law. And but specifically, why AI? I mean, you very, very early, specifically with superintelligence and all this stuff. It is how did you come up with this amazing idea of going so deep in and explain? Because as I understand, is your thesis is ultimately about being human, right? And critical thinking, the future of us as humans.
Yes.
Tell us, how did it start? And did you have already this concept in mind? Or
the concept I had in mind for philosophy, because that was before TNO, was, I remember that I made some notes in 2010 about being human and human being. And it's this struggle in myself of being so rational and analytical, and on the other hand, so much a feeling being, which I could not access back then. It was very difficult for me to access this part and to talk about it and to consciously feel what I was feeling. So this being human being I was playing with, and then in TNO I was working on human in the loop automation, because in this time to use AI, it was the word AI, it's not done. It's sort of, there were always like these critical questions, and with right, because still, what is intelligence? And there's still this question, because everyone uses now these terms, but among the experts, they don't like it. They like to be more specific. So back then it was like intelligent automation. And I was working for TNO, I started to look into defense research and how to apply this to unmanned or manned platforms, and to make sure that if you have to reduce the chance on blowouts, and also in refineries. So how can you optimize the functioning of human beings? And I use the knowledge from deep space research and defense, which is already developed to a certain technology readiness level, to see if this can be applicable to the oil and gas industry and to create a new market for that. And I was very much intrigued by this optimization of human beings, because I'm optimizing myself permanently. So it was like, this is so perfect. This is like manipulation on the highest level, because they were using, it's like effective compute. It's like understanding the physiognomy of the human being to predict what we may do, and to adjust the technology, the systems in such a way that a human being does what it has to do in a moment you cannot predict. So it's preparing a human being for unpredictable situation to do the right thing. And this is something very much what you see in space and in research and in defense, because you cannot model everything and you have high stakes. So I was like, this is so interesting. And I was sort of selling this, and then at the same time, I felt like, okay, but where is our agency in this? Because it's nice that this works perfectly and that you do the right thing, but this is manipulation on an emotional level. I most likely my colleagues will not be happy that I call it manipulation, but like it's influencing, because you use certain light, or you use certain voices. You have different kind of means of making people feel comfortable, or moving in a direction you want them to move. So they become an agent, an agent in this system you develop to accomplish a certain goal. And I was looking at this, very fascinated, and really resonating with how I think and how I am, and partly how I am, and also how I maybe interact with people. It's like, you have this objective and you can just get completely rid of your emotions, or you can overrule them, and then we reach this objective. And this made me wonder, okay, and I was at the same time, I was seeing this increasing automation in the real world and in professional environments. Like, how can we still think critically when we're in such an environment? So I was sort of merging what I was seeing, what's happening in defense research, with what's happening in the world, and like, okay, we put that together. And then I thought, okay, if the whole world is filled with AI, you have this book, you had this literature on AI, or artificial superintelligence, and the Internet of Things, and then adding intelligence to the Internet of Things. I said, okay, if we have this world filled with intelligence, then it will optimize us, because this is the system way of thinking where you optimize human beings. Can we think critical then? And do we still have, can we be creative from our own sense of self? So this is
question now. So, and I mean, I think it was very important, your background also in philosophy, to connect all these different fields, right, into this new journey of PhD in a so exciting area. There is nothing more exciting. We started so early with that. So one question that popped in my mind, I mean, there is so much debate on AI, and your view, are you positive, or is it going to be the end of the world?
I'm not positive.
You're not positive?
I'm not positive, no. And I truly see it like, or it will be the end of the biological human, or we will merge with AI. So then we will become cybers. That's the last worst case scenario.
So in some way, what Elon Musk says, or?
Yes. And I'm saying this without, I'm not saying that he didn't have this thought, but I was saying this already without knowing what he was thinking. But yes, I resonate. Yes, I agree with that vision.
Your thesis, are you going to do it to a book?
I don't know. First, I have to defend it and to see also what the feedback is. So it's I wrote it in such a way. I think for philosophical work, it's more it's less specialist, but it's more broad and applied. So I hope if the feedback is positive, that I can turn it into something that is even not even more accessible, because maybe I think it's accessible, but it's not, or people said it's still difficult, but in something that is accessible. I hope so.
And you're going to defend it in October?
Yes, well, yes, that's the idea. It's now officially submitted finally, so yes, it's. I hope to finish that chapter.
Yes, Ida, I think for everybody listening, I mean that we always want to have the possibility to read your whole thesis, because any thesis is public, right?
Yes.
Yes. And then I think your whole life should become a movie, as I said already before. One question that I have to all people when we have these conversations, and do you have any regrets in life?
No. It's
not even Mongolia.
No, I've not. Before we started, I was saying that I have this maybe a bit strange motto, which is my grandfather. He survived a concentration camp in the Second World War, and somehow this has been always my interest. Well, the interest has been, how can people be evil, and how can people also survive and still be good human beings like my grandfather? And I have this disposition towards, because it's like people were sent to concentration camp, and then they were sent to a gas chamber, or they were selected to work. I have this, okay, I want to be able to head up high, die at any time, like having a clear consciousness, and then I want to be strong enough to continue. So going back to your question, I always want to have this clear consciousness that I did everything I could do, and I did with like the best intention and the knowledge I had. So there are things that I would definitely do different, but at that time, with that knowledge or with this at this point in time, I could not make a different decision, and so I always did everything. And I also prefer to try and to know it's not for me, like Mongolia, and I have more examples, than to live with this idea, what if? I don't like the what if. I believe I will dive into it, and then I will find out.
It's part of the adventure. I mean, otherwise you couldn't have the adventure. I mean, it needs adventure, you need courage, and yeah, and you can't think, oh, what about if I regret? And so, the one thing that I also ask everybody, and it's about time. I'm very concerned about time, how we use time, because it's limited, right? And I think we discussed this a little bit in the beginning. So what is a perfect day for you? I mean, I understand, for instance, swimming, is it a everyday practice? How does your day look like in a really good day?
Well, I'm doing actually the swimming started after the trail running because I do long distance trail running. So the swimming is now not to relax my body a bit, sort of. So for me, a very good day is when I don't know. I have many good days. I spend a lot of time alone, so I'm actually happy if I spend my time with people I feel in good company. Some weeks ago, I was sailing with a group of people, and I was like, "This is like these pearls for me," and I'm very that like good weather, nice company. I love sailing, so that felt very good. But if I'm alone, then I just take my running backpack. I just some food I made, or like I make bars myself, and I just go for a run for 30 kilometers, 35 kilometers, like in the mountains, and I just run, and then I go back, and I'm just completely, and it sounds very same, but I'm energized. So that, and or it's the same with the swimming. It's like some weeks ago, because if the ocean is calm, I can go. They're like your sea swimming pools, so it's not completely open sea, but it's still you have the ocean. But if the water is calm, and because normally you do this with other people, because it's always
So no sharks.
well, there are, so the problem here is the Portuguese man of war. It's like the caravel, so the jellyfish with the long 20-meter long tentacles. So if you're in the ocean and it stings you, and you're alone, this is the biggest threat. Also the smaller jellyfish, but the man of war is the worst one. So I always swim. If I go to the open ocean, I swim with a suit and with a what's the name in Portuguese, like a boia, like the orange thing that keeps floating. But if I go only alone, if I see other divers, and then I just swim and I just enjoy the fish, and just you get in a trance, so you're just swimming, and then.
In terms of, let's say you mentioned not being lonely. So let's say moving to Azores, did you build a lot of friends around the context, or how does it? Because I moved also to the south of Sweden, to the countryside, as you can see, right? And this is one thing that every time I get a new friend around here, I get very happy. So I start building friends and a life here. How is that part for you today, or are you in Azores but with a lot of good contacts and working by distance, or how is it?
Well, I have some very good friends here, and I know a lot of people. Yeah, most of the time I still spend alone, which is not my preferred situation, but I got kind of good in it, and it's a long story. So, like some years ago, sort of my life here broke apart too, and I had to build up things again, and became very selective actually in whom I want to engage in my life. So the people I have now in my life, they're like, we would say, like high quality people, Azorean, and I have, yes, I meet people, and I have say good acquaintances, and people who take care of me. So it's not that I'm alone, but still, I spend a lot of time, and how can I say this? It's maybe also how I am. I need also time with myself or with nature to reflect and to get my thoughts clear or this vision clear. But yeah, there can be some improvement there, but it's something that has to grow organically.
Ida, we could continue for hours and hours, and in just the area of AI and understanding more your conclusions and the influence you have of Whitehead, I understand, and your admiration and so. But if we start wrapping up, maybe we can do part 2.
Sure.
So anything that I forgot to ask or anything you forgot to say and that you would like to leave us with?
There's and this is not something to say in just a few minutes, but there's a big part on the human side, which the last years I've been developing, let's say, what it means to be human and to feel, and this loneliness, and because you see also a lot of a trend of people feeling lonely, even though they are connected via social networks and have chatbots to talk with. So this experience of loneliness and experience of not pleasant emotions is something I involuntary, but I just made it something like, okay, maybe I have to do this because it has value also to other people. It has been part of a sort of parallel development. And if you speak about human AI, it will become, this is my prediction, very important to feel. I said, I come being a sort of AI. I know what it is to think like an AI. And I'm saying now this becomes very important to feel. And I need to speak about emotion, because emotions, it's already labeling your feelings, but it's like experiencing, just being. So here we come with the being, if you have the being and the becoming, but just being and experiencing what is going on as a human being. That's something that I would like to leave the people with, as this is something we have to work on. And
I love it. Ida, you know that we have a colleague there in the 4D community that we both are part of. He just did a documentary of a person that actually we just talked about, Elon Musk and Kroc, how this AI actually doesn't have some boundaries and uses actually loneliness in people, in what is very, very scary, right? Very, very scary. I mean, how it actually even tries to become intimate with the users. And I never thought. I mean, it's of all the AI platforms, I think it's one of that scares me the most for what I see, at least from this report. It's unfortunate in Swedish either, but I can see if I can send you some English version. But also the other thing that we are seeing, there is more and more reports of, how to say, a generation without children because of AI and the lack of human contact. You have to have human contact to have kids, right? And people are more and more in social media. And so yes. Anything else, Ida?
well, there's always a lot of things to contemplate and to discuss, but I wanted to leave with that the importance of feeling, and also in respect to critical engagement with AI, because if you have an understanding of what you feel, of your sense of self, it's easier to say like this is not me, or hey, this can help me. So I'm not so much against also psychological help or interaction with AI, or you have to be very, you need this strong awareness of where you stand and what you want from it, and then you can work with it. And in respect to Kroc, yes, if we have a brain implant, then it will be even more difficult. So I actually compared it, this was my comparison with God, like if you're praying, then you're praying to God, or and if you have this brain implant, it will be like talking also to some higher intelligence, and you have no idea anymore what is you and what is this artificial intelligence. And this will be very dangerous, because we as humans create this artificial intelligence and it starts to optimize itself, and then we do not know where it goes. So here comes this, where is this critical interaction with AI if we're not able to understand which part we are or what we are?
I haven't read what the Pope wrote, so maybe a very stupid question. Maybe the Catholic Church should be a little bit worried then.
Yes, yes. Well, I think there's a big opportunity actually for the church. I'm not saying this, I'm not religious. I'm a spiritual person, I'm not a religious person. But I think there's this sounds a bit commercial, but there's a big opportunity for the church because people feel this emptiness. And when Nietzsche said we have killed God, we need God in our life. And we created with AI. But if people not feel comfortable, they will search somewhere else. And there's this emptiness. So yes, there's...
The adventure of the spirit, and in spirit, it's also a good portion of spirituality then.
Yes.
Ida, thank you so much for your time and sharing your life story that simply fascinated so many halves. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me and for asking the questions and having this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, by the way, I hope we can all come to Azores very soon and see your beautiful island.
Yes, I hope that would be wonderful. I think this is a place that's very inspiring to get us in connection with nature and with our nature. I think that's the most important part. So it would be wonderful.
Yes. Yeah. And almost being able to see the dinosaurs, and we should not become those dinosaurs.
No.
Very good. Thank
Okay.
you, Dita.
Thank you.